Hi there, I am Emilia Ridolfi, and today I will be talking about modeling methane production and emission from thawing subsea permafrost on the warming Arctic shelf. I am a postdoc in the University of Brussels, and I am part of the BioGeoSys group, that is the Biogeochemistry and Modeling of the Earth System group. This work is part of a bigger project called Nunatariuk, that is a European project, and it is a transdisciplinary project that aims to understand the consequences of the thawing coastal and subsea permafrost, in particular fates of the organic matter, long-term impacts on global climate and economy, and also risks for indigenous and local communities. So it brings together both socioeconomics and also natural science. Myself, I'm into the natural science part and in particular into the modeling work package. Let's spend just a few words on the background of my research topic. What is subsea permafrost? It is relic terrestrial frozen ground that has been degrading since being inundated during sea level rise after the last glacial maximum. So in this figure you can see the terrestrial, coastal and submarine permafrost, and the red arrows indicate the degradation. We are gonna focus in particular just on the submarine permafrost in this research. Say that global warming accelerates the thawing of the large subsea permafrost reservoir on the Arctic shelf, and this potentially unlocks large stocks of organic matter, and through the microbial degradation of this available organic matter, it can produce the potent greenhouse gas, methane, and that could further intensify projected global warming. So the question we asked ourselves is how much methane could be produced and ultimately released from the Arctic sediments due to the projected subsea permafrost thawing. We tried to answer this question using this approach, that is a nested model with a 1D diagenetic model, the BRNS, on a 2D Arctic shelf grid. BRNS stands for Biogeochemical Reaction Network Simulator. It is a reaction transport model where the outputs are the concentration of the species and the rate of the reactions at any point along the 1D sediment column with a sufficient time resolution. And let's see which are the relevant species and reactions. So, in our model, we consider that all the degradation of the marine organic matter and the thawed permafrost organic matter happens by sulfate reduction and methanogenesis. And here we have the methane production. Plus, we have anaerobic oxidation of methane, AOM, and here we have the methane consumption. And we have to consider the formation and dissolution of the methane gas phase. Moreover, this model is initialized by a global permafrost map called SuperMap that has been provided by the AWI group in Potsdam, and it has been obtained by a heat transfer model based on bathymetry and sea level rise. And in particular, what they provide us are 242 permafrost locations, and for each location we have the upper and the lower permafrost boundary and the water depth. Then the model has also been forced by the Max Planck Institute Earth System Model JASPAR simulation results for the thawing scenarios for the period 1850-2300. This means that they provide us with yearly values of seabed temperature and salinity, and also yearly values of the thawing upper permafrost boundary. So we have this upper boundary of the frozen ground at time t, and also the next one the upper boundary at T plus delta T, and so on. Then, critical model parameters are chosen based on a comprehensive analysis of published experimental data. And I'm talking about permafrost organic matter, that is around 2%, the permafrost organic matter apparent reactivity, and also the unfrozen sediment organic matter content distribution that comes from the Cascade dataset. Let me spend, however, just a few more words on the permafrost organic matter apparent reactivity, because you are gonna see this kind of plot with all these dots also later. So when we talk about organic matter reactivity, we talk about how fast the organic matter degrades, and the degradability rate K is modeled as a continuous variable that depends on the sediment age according to the reactive continuum model. And so K, it is uniquely described by a couple of parameters, A and Nu, where A can be considered the average lifetime of the organic matter in the sediments, and Nu is a scaling parameter of the organic matter distribution. In fact, it can be expressed like this, where K bar is the mean degradation constant of the organic matter spectrum. So in this figure, we have here the logarithm of A and the logarithm of Nu, and each dot in this plot correspond to a couple of parameters in Nu and to a possible reactivity. And each one of these dots has been extracted from a permafrost incubation experiment. Here I reported a sample one. So we have on the y-axis the carbon flux rate, and on the x-axis the time. We have the experimental data, and we fitted this experimental data with the reactive continuum model equation, and we extracted the A and Nu parameters. Okay, so we arrived to our main results that I summarized here. So first, the potential production of methane gas varies between cents and tens of petagram carbon by 2100. This amount is quite huge, and this is due to the fact that only a fraction of the produced dissolved methane is consumed by anaerobic oxidation of methane, AOM, because the rest accumulates into the sediment, maintaining supersaturation of the pore waters with respect to the methane, and thus facilitating methane gas formation and storing dissolved methane into the active layer. Then, as you can see, I said that the production varies from cent to tens. That's a huge variability, and this is due to bullet point number 3, the permafrost organic matter reactivity. Permafrost organic matter reactivity is the most important control and uncertainty, and this is linked to the questions related to the onset of the microbial activity. So if we talk about weeks or 100 years time scale, and liquid water content or temperature driven. Let's see these things that I just said, look into some figures. So here I'm presenting the methane accumulation and consumption over time for 3 scenarios of increasing reactivities. So here we have the reactivity that is increasing, and you can see, just looking to the blue curve, that is the total methane gas produced, that by 2300 the amount produced varied a lot. Here we have 0.34 petagram carbon, here 0.70, and here we reach 18.3 petagram carbon. Moreover, another thing that you can notice is that the red curve is always higher than the yellow one, and the red curve is the total methane produced, and the yellow one is the dissolved part consumed by AOM, and it's very little. Moreover, for each of these cases, we can also plot the respective distribution of total cumulative amount of methane gas in mole over centimeter square produced in the Arctic. We can also see all these things in this kind of contour plot, so where the dots are again the couple of A and U parameter I was talking about just before. And so here I am presenting the methane production and consumption in function of the permafrost organic matter reactivity in petagram carbon in 450 years. And here you can see that the methane gas produced varies a lot, just looking into the scale here. And another thing that you can notice, again, just looking to this scale and this scale, you see that the methane gas consumed by AOM is very little in comparison with the total methane produced. Last thing I'm gonna say to you is that we have all this kind of analysis for 3 forcing scenarios, the shared socioeconomic pathways. You can have all the details in this article, but in a few words, these shared socioeconomic pathways are pathways that the humanity can take in response to the climate change. And so, for example, here for a particular case of an organic matter reactivity, we can have the total methane gas produced over time for the 3 different scenarios, the worst, the plausible, and the best one. And we can also address the potential methane production variability range, always in function of the permafrost organic matter reactivity, in petagram carbon in 250 years or 450 years. And what we see is that we have slight differences if we are in the worst, plausible, or best scenarios, but however, we are always talking about cents to tens of petagram carbon, so where the permafrost organic matter reactivity is the main drive of the output and is the main uncertainty. So what is next? The next question we are gonna address is how much of this produced methane is actually released into the Arctic Ocean, because all these values that I just said are actually the methane that is produced inside the sediment. But then we have to see how much of these escape to the sediment and arrive into the water column. And to know this, we need to properly account for the transport of the methane gas phase. And there is a student in our group, Constance Lefebvre, that is actually working on it right now. And with this I conclude, and thank you very much for your attention.